We're going to continue with our media availability this afternoon. We've now been joined by William Byron, driver of the number 24 UniFirst Chevrolet. We will take questions with William. If you have one, please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation. And we're going to start up front with Greg.
Hi, William. Greg.
Hey, how's it going?
Auto Week. Good to see you, pal. Joseph Newgarden's going to be doing some laps this afternoon. I know you guys are all interested. And, you know, your whole life's been in full-body cars, but can you compare from a driver's perspective what you think the differences are between an IndyCar and a NASCAR race car? And would you ever consider jumping over that series for a one-off or maybe a full-time if the right opportunity came up?
Yeah, I mean, I have never been in anything that doesn't have a roof, you know, outside of a go-kart, so I don't really know, but I think that it looks awesome. And just from talking to Max, and I've actually karted with Joseph a couple times at the Motorplex up there, you know, so I try to learn from them. And the biggest thing I think is probably the difference in you know, airflow, obviously, and then you know, they don't really have power steering in those Indy cars, at least, so that's got to be tough. So but yeah, I'd love to race one at some point. It'd be awesome. I think it'd be really cool. I'm still young, so I still got a lot of, hopefully, an opportunity at some point.
All right. Additional questions for William? Come on. Someone's got one. All right, Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. William, I'll ask you the same thing I just asked Ryan, which is that last lap of the Roval last year, Truex said if he could do it over again, he would just straight line the chicane and make NASCAR make a judgment call, because he went through the turn, and that when he was coming out, exiting the final turn, that was when he got hit by Jimmy, who was spinning behind him. So I'm just wondering, like, if you're in that situation this year where you've got a car, say, spinning behind you or in front of you or whatever, and you're worried about NASCAR making a call that could potentially affect a win or result, would you rather put the onus on them and make them make the call, or would you still run the corner, or is there like an in-the-moment decision there?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would run the corner because I think that, you know, you can't expect them to give you the benefit of the doubt, you know, the rule, and I think they've been pretty stickler to those things lately, you know, whether it's pit road or anything. So I would be really hard pressed to, you know, just cut it short and hope that they make the call that I want them to make, I guess. But I mean, there's really nothing you can do if somebody's spinning there and they collect you. I mean, I think it just is bad luck, really. So I don't know. I mean, I think we'll be reaching that chicane a little bit slower this year, so it might not be quite as easy to like spin out locking up the tires, but we still saw in practice it's really easy to lock up the tires in general. So I don't really know. I would try to run the chicane there, maybe just stop and let him spin, but I don't really know.
All right. Kelly, I believe you had a question?
Kelly, CrandallRacer.com. William, with only a 2-point buffer on the cut line, where's the balance between playing offense versus defense this weekend? And Chad was in a similar situation with Jimmy in this race last year. Has he expressed how he might approach this race from a strategy standpoint for your team?
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to try to get max points, so try to, you know, the best thing to do would be to qualify really well today and then start that first stage and maybe, you know, win that first stage or be up in the top 3 or 4 would be awesome. And then I think outside of that, you know, then you kind of play your strategy based on that. But, you know, it seems like if you have good track position, you can score points pretty easily in stage 2, and then that sets you up for a good race finish. You just got to kind of see how the strategy plays out. But I would say we just go for the stage points as much as we can, and hopefully that final run of the race, there's enough cautions and things where we can gain some track position back.
All right. I believe Woody, Steve, and then Daniel.
Woody came with MRN. William, look ahead to week 4 at Dover, especially since you're going back with this package of some of these tracks a second time. How much difference how many gains are you guys making when you go back a second time, and specifically as it relates to Dover?
Yeah, that's a track that I'm really looking forward to and really optimistic about. I mean, you know, Chad's had a lot of success there, and we had a really good car there in the spring. We just, I think we took 2 tires and we got trapped way in the back, and we restarted like 30th and finished 8th. So, I think we had a really good car there. So we just got to try to build on that. I think it's going to come better for us. I think the speed-wise will be better going there in the fall. So we just got to get through this race and hopefully have an opportunity to go there and compete for it.
All right, we'll go to Daniel and then come back. Go ahead, Daniel.
Daniel McFadden with NBC Sports. William, how confident are you feeling about this weekend, given the performance you had at like Sonoma earlier this year, and how would you compare those two tracks?
Yeah, I would say that this track is probably more similar to Sonoma now that the chicane in the backstretch is like it is. I would say. The front and back chicane are definitely fast parts of the racetrack, but that whole infield section is really similar to Sonoma. So, obviously we ran well there for the most part during the race. We kind of took the points approach and didn't finish as great, but I think if we can kind of take those notes and build on them for here, that's going to help. So our car felt pretty good in practice. We were fast, so that was good, and hopefully that carries over to qualifying.
All right. Do we have a question here in the middle? Okay.
Hey, thank you. Doug Turnbull for Performance Racing Network. Well, I heard on the Xfinity radio, I think Stephen Light saying that he'd never been here, and iRacing was, he said, not comparable to actually racing it on the surface for the first time. And obviously, a lot of people know you're big into iRacing. Have you gotten to try it with the new chicane setup? And then two, how are they comparably?
Yeah, I ran a race on Tuesday night, I think, and the track and everything, the visuals of it were really good. The only thing is the grip level is really high on iRacing, but I think that we used the simulator this week at Chevrolet, and then I used iRacing a little bit too. So I think it helps you understand kind of where the speed is. But if you've never come here before, I think you just got to get out there and practice. And I was fortunate to race here last year, so it honestly really just once I got out there and practice, I kind of remembered what it was like last year.
All right, we're going to go to our left-hand side here for Steve, Jerry, and then we'll end with Reed. Go ahead.
William, Steve Conley, over here on your left. Back here. There we go. Steve Conley, the podium finish in PRN. Have you talked with Alex this week? You guys are pretty much the closest ones there on that bubble line about how can you race each other as teammates on this surface, knowing that it's going to affect the rest of your playoffs? And then second, if you do make it through, what are the biggest changes that the 24 team need to move into that second round?
As far as racing him, I race him the same way every week, so I don't think it would really change for this race. I think we just race each other, hard and clean, and just try to go for as many points as possible. And I don't really think you talk about those things in general, especially coming here with such a wild card. But as far as your second question goes, I think that ultimately we just had one bad race last week, and I think that was a little bit of a weird deal for us. I don't think we've run especially like that recently, so we just got to clean it up and try to really just have a good weekend here first and try to have a really smooth weekend.
All right. Up front here to Jerry, please.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net. You were third fastest in practice, but there were a lot of cars out there that had problems and broke engines, run into stuff. What are your thoughts on your predictions for going into the race on Sunday, and what will you do to avoid that trouble?
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy. You kind of see in practice where the trouble spots are. I think the new chicane in the backstretch, everyone was trying to figure out the braking zone for that, and the markers on the wall were really far down there. So it was like, if you tried to go to the 5, let's say, you're probably not going to make it. So I think that was one thing I noticed. And then I think, going into the race, everyone's going to kind of clean those things up and not take as many risks. We're all trying to go fast for qualifying and everything like that. So that's a little bit different. But as far as qualifying goes, I think you're going to see some guys make mistakes for sure.
All right, Reed, we'll take our final question.
Reed Spencer, NASCAR Wire. Did you do a mock run in practice? And in a general sense, you talked about the importance of qualifying. You've got 4 poles this year. What accounts for your ability to step right in and qualify that well?
Yeah, I mean, I think with our team, typically when we do hit qualifying well, we hit it really well. When we miss it really bad. So we're kind of in the middle, or we're kind of on both ends of the spectrum for the most part. But I think it's just a combination of a good balanced race car and knowing exactly what makes time, in qualifying. So we made a qualifying run in practice. I think really the top 20 guys did, and so I felt really good about the speed there that we had, and we just got to hit every part of the racetrack correctly in qualifying. And the interesting thing is that it is 2 rounds, so you do have to kind of, try to find a little something more for the second round.
All right. Well, William, thanks for spending time with us this morning, and we wish you the best of luck this afternoon.
Thank you.
All right. We've now been joined